Alright, I get it. I'll play Animal Parade. Animal Parade is arguably one of the greatest entries into the Harvest Moon / Story of Seasons franchise, so it should come as no surprise to any of you that I've never played it. The game was released for Nintendo Wii in North America, that's where I live, on November 12th, 2009. Wanna know what game released 2 days earlier? Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. What game do you think a hormone-riddled 13-year-old boy would rather play? One that has farming or one where you shoot stuff? Does it make sense why I didn't play it when it first came out now? To right the wrongs of my childhood, I'll be playing 100 days of Animal Parade to see what all the fuss is about and to potentially 100% it. As I'm writing the intro to this script, I've played about 4 days of the game, and I definitely have some goals in mind for the first 100 days. By the end of this video, I would like to ring all 5 bells and finish the story, rescue all of the parade animals, achieve the title of Ultimate Farmer, and upgrade all my tools to Goddess level. But before we get this video started in earnest, I just want to let you know that this video is sponsored by me. That's right, the only ad you'll see in this video is this one right here. There will be no mid-roll ads whatsoever, and all I ask in return is that you do 3 things for me. First, please subscribe to the channel and enable notifications. It lets me know that you enjoy my content and you get the added benefit of joining a super exclusive club, since only 7% of people who watch my videos actually hit that subscribe button. Second, if you could smash the like button, that would be awesome. If this video gets 2,500 likes, I'll do another 100 days of Animal Parade. And finally, if you could help me out with the YouTube algorithm by leaving a comment telling me who your favorite Animal Parade character is, that would just make my day. Alright, ad over, let's start our journey in Harvest Moon, Animal Parade. I start my Animal Parade adventure on day 1, by selecting one of the male characters and making sure everyone knows my name is Jack. Finn the Harvest Sprite makes his introduction and implores me that we really need to see the Harvest Goddess ASAP. Apparently, she is in dire need of assistance, and I'm the only person that can provide it. After I answer a couple of questions about what my favorite food is and what season I was born in, I wish Cain a safe ride home and arrive at my new homestead. Mayor Hamilton is waiting for me on my front porch, where he makes his introduction and gifts me a map. Along with that map, Hamilton also provides me with the necessary equipment to get started farming. Then I get a little introduction to my surroundings. Flute Fields is to the east, Harmonica Town is to the west, and the Garmin Mine District is to the north. I give a proper name to my new farmland, Fowl Farm, and then check out the new digs to end a very introductory day 1 and get started on my farming journey. The first thing I do on day 2 is put on some fresh threads and head out into my crop field to collect some ripe turnips, water some tulips, and then prep and plant some more turnip seeds that will hopefully grow in quickly with a nice watering. As I was exploring around the mountain area, I ran into everyone's favorite handyman, Bo, at the bridge. For some reason, he gives me an axe and then sends me on an errand to retrieve his toolbox from Hamilton so that he can fix the bridge. So I decided to make my way over to Harmonica Town and find Hamilton, who needs a quid pro quo for Bo's toolbox. Now I have to introduce myself to everyone in town. I introduce myself to Simon the photographer at his place of business, then run up to the church grounds where I meet Chase, Perry, and Mira. Over at the clinic, I introduce myself to Irene, and then it's over to the inn where I meet Yolanda and our first marriage candidate, Maya. I introduce myself to Ozzy down at the wharf, and meet innkeepers Jake and Colleen. Bachelorette number 2, Kathy, is down at the brass bar, along with the owner, Hayden, before introducing myself to the local tailor, Shelly, and her daughter / bachelorette number 3, Candace. With that, I've now met everyone in town, and I can return to Hamilton and collect Bo's toolbox. I hightail it back to the waterfall and give Bo his tools, but he still can't repair the bridge on an empty stomach. So now it looks like I have to be a waiter as well as a gopher. I ran down to Flute Fields to purchase a strawberry, but I ran into a domestic dispute involving an old man and a small child. The kid's name is Taylor, and he informs me that the 2 adults in the picture are Craig and Ruth, before gifting me some cabbage seeds. Now that that's settled, I can finally purchase that strawberry, along with some more seeds from Ruth at Marimba Farms. I ran across the way to Horn Ranch and met Kane in his barn, where he asked me if I wanted a free calf. And you know, I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth, so I agreed and randomly selected a cow. I got myself a black one, and I named her Coco. Along with my new friend Coco, Kane also gives me a brush to keep her nice and clean. As I exited the barn, I ran into the local farmer girl bachelorette and marriage candidate number 4, Renee. While running home, I checked out a neato windmill and was introduced to local fisherman Toby, who got me started on my angling journey with a fishing rod to finish off a very busy day 2. I start my journey in animal husbandry on day 3 as I give Coco some pets and ring her outside, before getting my tulips wet and planting and watering those cabbage seeds Taylor gave me yesterday. Rule number 1 for the early parts of Animal Parade is getting every forageable possible, specifically these green herbs which will be used in a future quest. I then make my way to Horn Ranch and formally introduce myself to Hannah, who gives me a free sickle. I really came here to get some feed for Coco, and then it's off to do some more foraging by the beach, before getting Coco nice and fed. Down by the lighthouse, I caught my first ever fish, a goby, and then finished off day 3 by tilling, planting, and watering some more cabbage seeds. Day 4 begins by plucking up some tulips that have fully matured and then harvesting some ripe potatoes. By the way, I kept 1 potato for myself, and if you're planning on replaying Animal Parade, you really should too. Anyways, I got all of the dry seeds and seedlings watered and ran down to the Horn Ranch to buy some milk for Bo, only to learn that it's closed on Wednesdays, so that's a bummer. Since I couldn't do what I wanted to do in fixing the bridge today, I decided to spend the rest of my day fishing down by the watermill, doing some foraging, and finishing the day off by catching my first crawfish. Day 5 is the first rainy day of this video and the spring season, so I prepared some squares in the farmland, then ran down to the Horn Ranch to finally buy that milk. I then beelined it to the waterfall to give Bo the strawberry and milk that he requested, and now he can get started on repairing the bridge. That afternoon, I grabbed some seeds from 𝐼𝐵 Farms and got all of them planted in those freshly prepared spots I tilled this morning. I finished the day off by doing some fishing down at the beach, and then just jumping into bed. Day 6 is a long one, and it starts by waking up to someone knocking on my door. It's Bo, letting me know that he has finished repairing the bridge, and the Garmin Mine District is now able to be visited. I'm super excited to get a look at those mines, but I have to do my farm chores first. While I was watering my crops, I leveled up my watering can skill to level 2. Here's a quick explanation on skills for those who don't know. Every time you use a tool, you gain experience. When you get enough experience to reach one of these blue lines, you've leveled up that skill, and using the tool now takes less stamina. Got that? Cool. It's high time I visited the Garmin Mines District, so I ran up there and took in the views. Finn let me know that the Goddess Pond is up here, but before we do that, I introduced myself to Dale the Carpenter, who sells furniture, but more importantly, building upgrades. As I attempted to go to the Goddess Pond, a bunch of wild animals blocked the path and refused my entry. Finn says that we need to show them that we're not a threat, but I don't know how to communicate with animals. So I just put that on the back burner and introduced myself to Barbara, who runs the general store up here. She sells some really important stuff, including cooking tools, TVs, and refrigerators, and I decided to pick up the cutting board utensil. At the accessory store, I ran into Julius, who's just lounging around, and then I ran over to the blacksmith shop, where I met Ramsey. As I entered the Garmin Mines proper, I introduced myself to Owen, Ramsey's apprentice, who gifts me the all-important hammer so that I can finally do some mining. I delved down into the mines for the first time and managed to get down to floor 10, which is unfortunately barricaded by a large boulder that Owen is going to start working on removing. Since I don't have anything better to do, I decided to do some mining today. I grabbed myself a silver ore on floor 9, played some whack-a-mole on floor 7 and was rewarded with a body geyser, and cracked open enough rocks to eventually level up my hammer skill to level 2. To finish off my first spelunking trip, I got some iron and copper on floor 2, and then ran back home, where I placed my brand new cutting board in the kitchen, and got started on my cooking journey by using a goby to create some decent sashimi. Fun fact, that turns a 7G fish into an 80G meal, so a pretty solid profit. I definitely don't abuse this later. I went and purchased some more seeds from 𝐼𝐵 Farms, and then ran into Dale outside of his shop doing some tricks with his dog. He told me that an animal whistle will help me communicate with those wild ragamuffins in front of the goddess pond, but he seems to have misplaced it. I eventually tracked it down in Owen's possession and successfully acquired the whistle. I immediately used it at the path leading to the goddess pond, and the wild animals seemed to trust me now. I ran into the sanctuary, and after a way too bright flash of light, the harvest goddess awoke from her slumber. Apparently, the tree is dying, and in order to bring power back to the land, I need to ring the 5 bells scattered across the world. According to the harvest goddess, the harvest sprites associated with these bells are too weak to ring them, and if they aren't activated soon, the land will die and everyone will be forced to move away. The goddess asked for my assistance, and I guess I have no other option. To finish off day 6, the goddess gifted me my first power berry of the playthrough, to permanently increase my stamina. I start day 7 off by checking my mail. I've got a couple of letters from Dale at the carpenter shop educating me on how to build new buildings and renovate the ones I have, and then I get half a dozen turnips harvested in the fields. I sow some more seeds assisted by the rain in the air, and then while I'm doing my foraging at the beach, I discovered a golden bell stuck in the sand. As I pulled it up, I officially met the harvest sprite Colin, who is far too weak to hold up a conversation. Finn seems super worried about Colin and begs me to take him up to see the harvest goddess. But before I do that, I've got some money burning a hole in my pocket. So I purchase some lettuce seeds from Ruth, and then I go back to the farm and till all the necessary squares of land and get those seeds sown. I then run over to the goddess pond where the goddess tells me how to restore Colin with the power of the moonlight. While I was up in the Garmin district, I decided to do some mining and found that Owen successfully removed the large boulder. So good for him. To finish off day 7, Calvin the archaeologist / cowboy showed me some cool looking stones and made a formal introduction. To start off day 8, I'm in the field harvesting some turnips and lettuce, before running to Marimba Farms to pick up a quest from Ruth for 10 heads of good lettuce. While I'm here, I decided to pick up a couple more lettuce seeds, and then ran into Kane at the gate of Fugu Forest. He says if I want to go inside, I'll need to get the key from Dale the carpenter. But before I do that, I got some newly planted lettuce watered, then grabbed the aforementioned key from Dale at his carpenter's shop. As I exit to go back to the forest, I ran into Bo playing a game of kick the can with someone called Chloe. Turns out the can that they're trying to kick is actually the red bell. Before I managed to get the bell, a little girl kicked it into the chimney of the blacksmithery, if that's a word. This little girl with the kick power of Cristiano Ronaldo is Chloe, by the way. Chloe and I ran to Ramsey to see how we could get the bell out, and it turns out he needs one of each ore: copper, iron, silver, and gold. Luckily enough, I had exactly what he needed, and I guess the power of all these ores combined was enough energy to shoot the red bell out of the chimney, and I was able to catch it before it got destroyed on impact. With the red bell in my hands, I ran down to floor 10 and got the bell rang with the help of Red Harvest Sprite Alan. The beautiful melodies from the bell rang out across the Garmin Mine District as all the residents watched as a little bit of life returned to the world. With that, the power of fire is restored to the entire valley, and a hatch has magically opened, allowing us to go deeper in the mines, in addition to the ability to use various hot springs around town to restore stamina. I made it pretty far down in the mines this afternoon, but I had to call it quits early as I had my first encounter with the dreaded sickness gas. With that being said, the day isn't over yet, as I found some moonlight for Colin and the yellow bell to ingest. Moonlight Stone number 2 is located at the lighthouse, and Moonlight Stone number 3 can be found near Horn Ranch. With all that moonlight, it looks like Colin finally has enough energy to return to his physical form. Unfortunately, he has no idea where the yellow bell pedestal is, outside a couple of clues. A long day 8 comes to an end as I head to bed, but Finn is up burning that midnight oil. He asks me what he needs to do to become a good leader like Alan, the Red Harvest Sprite. I say he needs to focus on being responsible, and he seems to agree with that assessment. Day 9 begins in the field watering a whole bunch of crops. Now that I've rang the red bell, I can utilize the hot spring near my house for more energy. And I'm gonna need it with how quick my stamina drops with all these crops to water. I got Coco the cow brushed, and then ran down to the clinic to get some cold medicine since a good night's rest hasn't cleared me of that cold status effect. Today is earmarked as the day I enter Fugu Forest for the first time. It's kind of like the mines, just with trees. I made it to the midway point where I officially introduced myself to Luke, the son of town carpenter Dale, who rushes home to check in with his dad. As I made my way to the center of the forest, I found a quaint little house. As I gingerly stepped inside the dwelling, I discovered a pink frog. Unfortunately, I don't speak frog, but Finn has a great idea of contacting the wizard to see if he can help us. But that's a quest for another day, as I finish up day 9 by purchasing some more lettuce seeds and getting those watered in the moonlight. I started day 10 by brushing Coco the cow, who now has her first heart of friendship. I've got a solid handful of cabbage and turnips ripe for the picking, so I get those harvested and head over to Marimba Farms to purchase some more seeds to repopulate. As I was increasing the size of the farm, I got my hoe skill up to level 2, and then got those lettuce seeds planted. That afternoon, I introduced myself to the wizard, who was hard at work staring into the sun with his telescope. I asked him about the witch, and he mentions a frog, revealing that the frog that we saw in the center of the Fugu forest was, in fact, the witch princess. In order to get her back to her human form, I'll need to procure some ingredients for our magic friend to make a potion. One of those ingredients can only be found on an island that is impossible to reach, since there aren't any boats coming to Harmonica Town. So, the lighthouse is the most obvious next destination. But before going there, I ran into Mira at the church and convinced her to go back to work with Julius at the accessory shop. I made my way to the lighthouse and officially met Paolo, the son of 𝐼𝐸𝐿. Speaking of 𝐼𝐸𝐿, I bought a whole bunch of fish from him and utilized my cutting board to turn all 34 gobies into sashimi, and I got them sold away, almost tripling the value I got them from 𝐼𝐸𝐿 for. Now that the red bell has been rung, I can utilize the upper Garmin mines, where I met Phoebe on floor 5. She's another bachelorette, by the way. I spent the evening doing some mining in the upper mines, where I found my first white wonderful and my first ever rare ore. I made it all the way to the tippity top of the mountain, where after doing a bit of sleuthing, I found myself the second power berry to consume and permanently increase my stamina. Another long day comes to an end as I watch the sashimi money flood into my bank account. I'm back in the fields harvesting a bunch of ripe crops before getting them watered to start day 11. An early dip in the hot springs is in order, and then it's over to the windmill of Horned Ranch, where I found the pedestal to mount the green bell, which I don't have yet. Speaking of bells that I don't have yet, I asked Paolo about the blue bell, and he mentioned something about a watery cave in which he has a key to. I got the key and the entrance unlocked and discovered the blue bell just sitting there. I asked Darren, the blue harvest sprite, to ring the bell, but after hesitating for a good long while, he admits that he forgot the melody. So, Finn suggests that we go see the harvest goddess. She said that we need to find someone familiar with the watery cave, but I'm much more interested in making money right now. So, I bought a bunch of gobies from 𝐼𝐸𝐿 again, and then ran into Shelly on my way home. She says she can make me a big rucksack in exchange for some wool and 10 green herbs. Since there is no way I can get wool right now, I decided to do some mining and found a very nice rare ore. But more importantly, I got all the way down to floor 30, where I found yet another power berry to get a stamina increase. I finished up day 11 by turning all my purchased gobies into sashimi to make a whole bunch of money. There are a handful of crops ready for harvest to start day 12, so I get those veggies plucked out and then I till out the remaining squares on the farm, which is ready for more seeds. Down at Horde Ranch, I got some wool purchased along with my first coop animal, a duck, who I named Calvin. While I'm cashing out, I got some lettuce seeds purchased, and then get all of those sown in my newly tilled squares. Calvin gets her first bit of food, and then I ran into Shelly's tailor store to exchange some wool and herbs for an expanded rucksack, which can now be populated with a total of 20 items. To celebrate, I decided to go do some fishing down by the beach, and caught a delicious sardine. I spent the remainder of this day doing some sashimi making in the kitchen. I woke up to everyone's favorite mayor knocking on my door on day 13. The first festival of the year, the Flower Festival, is scheduled for tomorrow, and he just wanted to let me know about it. More important than flowers, though, is lettuce, and I have a bunch of lettuce that needs to be harvested and sold away to all those salad eaters out there. With all these crops to water, I'll be utilizing the hot springs a lot. I made my way up to the accessory shop, and Julius is happy to let me know that Mira has returned to work the store, and I can now do refining. I actually got really good luck on my first round of refining, netting myself some crystals, a garnet, and a ruby. Throwing all of these into the shipping bin should net me a nice financial boost. After ringing that red bell, Owen and Ramsey are delighted to inform me that I can now forge copper and silver tools. So I go straight into the mine and start collecting those ores. After the healthy lettuce harvest this morning, I was able to complete Ruth's quest for 10 good heads of lettuce. And she was happy to unlock the gate just east of her farm, where I encountered this cute little cutscene of Craig praying to the harvest goddess, asking her to bring life back to the land of blue fields. I get Colin's bell placed on the pedestal, and he gives me a little thank you dance. But unfortunately, it's too late for me to ring the bell, because for some reason, there needs to be sun out to ring the bell. I don't get it either, but you know, them's the rules. So I decided to call it a day and made quite a bit of cash from that farming. Even more lettuce and cabbage are ripe and ready for plucking to start day 14, and I make sure to get all of those growing plants nice and wet before heading over to the yellow bell pedestal to attempt to ring the bell again, where a very unfortunate discovery awaits me. I'll just let Live Jack handle this one.
Okay, hold up. This is live me right now. Holy fuck, dude. I can't ring the bell yesterday because it's dark outside. I can't ring the bell today because it's a festival day. Holy shit. This game is good. But, oh my god, why? Why? You're telling me that a harvest sprite takes the day off? You're telling me that? Oh my god.
So yeah, that's how I feel about this game right now. To further vent my frustrations, I spent the afternoon just pounding some rocks before heading down to the Flower Festival, where I ended the day just talking to people, because honestly, I don't think I even did this festival correctly. If I didn't have cows and a duck, you would assume I'm a vegan farmer with all this lettuce I'm growing. Day 15 begins in earnest at the accessories shop, as I get some iron refined and finally have enough to upgrade my watering can. As I talk to Bo, it's revealed that this man is the real unsung hero of the valley. Not only does he repair the bridge, but he also is repairing this old minecart. He just needs some fuel, so it's an easy decision to give him a mushroom for his efforts. While I'm in the garment district, I decided to splash some cash on some cooking tools, a TV, and an incubator for the chicken coop. Back at home, I get the kitchen set up with my new appliances and then get to cooking. I started with the aging pot by making a blueberry cocktail, and then I made some herbal tea with the regular pot. My brand new iron watering can now water 2 crops at a time, which is super handy for stamina efficiency, but it still takes quite a long time to water this many crops. I hit up the hot spring for that stamina boost, and then it's back to Marimba Farms to finally ring that yellow bell. Colin does a cute little dance before giving that gong a solid strike, and the fantastic melodies of the yellow bell descend upon Craig and Ruth, as well as the fields and rivers on this east side of the valley. Colin says the land will now be healthy again, so I purchase some more lettuce seeds and start down the long road of villager friendship, starting with some herbal tea for Renee and Hannah, which they both love. Speaking of Hannah, I bought some animal feed from her, then ran over to the coop to attempt to make my first ever deposit into the incubator. But little did I know you can't put ostrich eggs in this specific incubator, so I just put a chicken egg in there instead. Irene from the clinic loves herbal tea, as does Toby, who is fishing down at the dock. Over at the lighthouse, I ran into Paolo, who explained how to ring the blue bell. Of course, he had to add on a couple of drawn-on bits to this map for it to make sense. Essentially, I need a duck egg, a black pearl, and 5 identical fish to ring the bell. So I make my way down to the Watery Cave mine. I found myself a brand new wonderful, the purple variation, as well as playing some whack-a-mole and being rewarded with a super rare extra large body geyser. I took a nice relaxing dip in the hot springs on floor 20, and then made my way down to floor 25, where I found the elusive black pearl. Since I had the time, I decided to do even more mining, and found a green wonderful, another black pearl on floor 44, and eventually made it all the way down to floor 50, where I can actually do some fishing, and I caught myself my first rockfish to end the day. But Finn had different ideas. He can't sleep knowing that he wasn't able to cheer people up like Colin is, and asked me how he can learn to be more like Colin. And obviously, he just needs to learn some funny jokes, and he'll be good to go. Taylor has arrived back from his seed finding journey to start day 16, and he's even started a new seed delivering business. I've got some mail to start the day, but it's just an ad from the general store for more cooking utensils. I finally decided to cut down these trees on my farmland. I know they give cherries later on, but it's annoying that I can't use my entire field. I was able to chop a couple down and sowed some more lettuce in the places that they left. And then I went over to the general store because they added a couple things that I am interested in, and that's the refrigerator and rotary phone. So I get those bought and give Bo another mushroom to continue to support his efforts in repairing the minecart. I spent almost all the afternoon in the upper Garmin mines looking for iron ore. The speed gas really makes precision mining difficult, as you can see here, but I did find myself a rare ore. I decided to do a bit of refining with everything I got today, and was rewarded with a solid yield from my purple wonderfuls, including an amethyst. But more importantly, I got a couple of iron bars, 3 copper bars, 4 silver bars, and 1 gold bar, which isn't too bad with these refining odds. Back home, I got my refrigerator and new rotary phone placed, and then ran down to the clinic to grab a cold medicine so that I don't run out of stamina during tomorrow morning's chores. Speaking of chores, I had just enough stamina this evening to finish off chopping all the trees on the farm, before calling it a day. A nice clear field brimming with delicious strawberries and lettuce is my reward from all my work to start day 17. And I even got my first ever shining vegetable, which is pretty dope if you ask me. Before doing any watering today, I got my watering can upgraded to copper, then gave Bo my freshly harvested strawberry, the final nutrient donation needed to get that minecart fixed. I got the lettuce put into the shipping bin, then did my first session of watering with my new copper tool. Being able to water 3 plants in one go is super convenient, but once again, it still takes a long time to get everything properly moist. But it does make stamina less of an issue. Of course, I still need a little soak in the hot springs before running over to 𝐵𝐴𝐵 Farms to check out the lovely scenery now that the yellow bell has been rung. Along with the improvement of the land, another bachelorette has been brought to the valley, Craig and Ruth's daughter, Anissa. She also comes bearing gifts in the form of some tomato seeds. In return, I gave her an herbal tea, one of her favorite gifts. I didn't know what Taylor likes, but it turns out he loves herbal tea just like his sister. I guess it's been a while since I've gone into the inn, since I'm just now seeing that their stove has finally started working and Chase can now do his cooking. You're right, Yolanda, the town really has changed for the better since I got here. It's almost like someone's magically doing stuff on the side while everybody's worrying about stuff and not helping me. Anyways, I spent almost all of this day fishing with Toby down by the dock, and I even gave Hamilton some herbal tea, which he also loves. I spent the evening taking those fish that I caught today and turning them into sashimi, and I sold all of them to cap off a day 17. I've got some mail from 𝐵𝐴𝐵 Farms to start day 18, but it's really not important, so I run out into the field and get all my delicious lettuce harvested. Since today is a Wednesday, I'm forced to pay double from Taylor's seeds because Ruth's shop is closed. So I get those lettuce seeds sown and watered before running over to the barn where Coco is finally fully grown. Unfortunately, I don't have a milker yet, so I'll have to do that some other time. I got myself a relaxing steam sesh, then gave Barbara some herbal tea over at the general store. After 12 days, Bo finally completed the minecart repair, and now I have a quick and easy way to get from the Garmin Mine District to the church grounds and vice versa. While I'm at the church, I gave Perry an herbal tea, one of his favorite gifts, and then finally decided to pay off my debt to Mayor Hamilton. It's Mayor Hamilton, that's the wrong game. After paying off that debt, he now has a couple more plots of land for sale at a price that might as well be impossible to purchase this early in the game. I continued my gift-giving tour by giving some herbal tea to Simon as well as Candace, both of which love the stuff, and then received another quest from Shelly to get another rucksack upgrade. This time around, she needs perfect wool, honey, and 5 body geysers. By the way, if you couldn't tell already, herbal tea is like a cheat code if you're okay with slowly building up friendship in this game. Almost 90% of the people in this town love it, if not have it as their favorite gift. And that includes like Jake, Colleen, and Yolanda as well. I caught some fish down by the beach and made sure I stayed on top of the foraging to get as many herbs as possible, and spent the remainder of the day in the kitchen cooking up some cocktails, herbal tea, and sashimi, before making a last-second addition to the shipping bin as I watched that money roll in. Calvin the duck has fully matured on day 19, and she laid her first ever duck egg. I made sure I harvested all my ripe fruits and vegetables, and kept all the crops and empty field squares nice and moist. I then ran over to Marimba Farms to buy some more seeds to immediately repopulate my field, and then put on a fresh fit and went down to the fishmonger. I bought myself 5 gobies as I'm finally ready for Paolo's quest for the blue bell. I placed those 5 fish in the little wading pool, the black pearl in this little weird contraption next to the inn, and the duck egg at the top of this roof. I ran down to let Paolo know that I was ready to start, and I pushed the duck egg off the ramp. Essentially, Paolo and I made a little Rube Goldberg machine that eventually had the 5 fish play this little melody. As you can see, I'm super excited about accomplishing this task. With that melody fresh in my head, I ran down to the watery cave and relayed it to Ben, the blue harvest sprite. He can finally ring the blue bell and release the magic power of music across Harmonica Town. After ringing the bell, some random dude pulled up on me, and he's apparently Hamilton's son named Gil. Nice to meet you, Gil, but I've got stuff to do. Like finally purchasing the milker and getting my first churn of milk. As I got ready to end the day, Finn once again has to delay my rest by talking about some nonsense like, I want my own bell. So I just told him to never give up on his goal, which seemed to make him feel better and I could go to sleep. I was rudely awakened on day 20 by Paolo, who has come to let me know that the boat has finally come to Harmonica Town after God knows how long. The kid is so excited he forgot to tie his shoelaces and tripped on our way to the dock. Anyways, I'm formally introduced to Boat Captain Pascal, who apologizes for his inability to get here until today. Now I can get my day started in earnest by checking the mail from the fishery and the inn as they have new items for sale. More importantly, I have some lettuce ready for harvest, and I have enough funds to upgrade my watering can to silver. The silver upgrade for this tool might be the most important in the game, as you go from watering 3 squares to 9 squares, which almost makes the stamina bar redundant with how efficient you can be. Down at the fishery, Ozzy lets me know that he has new stuff, but more importantly, he has the boat ticket for purchase. I can buy one of those and take them down to Pascal, and off I go to Toucan Island for the first time. Toucan Island is a sunny tropical escape from Harmonica Town, and a welcome destination for me. My first stop at Toucan Island was the Pineapple Inn, where I met Selena, another bachelorette. She dreams of going to Harmonica Town now that the boats are back, but her mother, Sue, doesn't want her daughter to leave the nest. The family patriarch Samson seems to be stuck in between the two of them, and he can't provide me the hibiscus I need so badly with the rift between those two. I went down to the beach to talk to Selena, and all she wants to do is dance for me. I mean, give your offer in, girl. The way Finn and I react, you would think we've never seen a person dance before, as we're like absolutely gobsmacked. Anyways, I spent some time on the island fishing, but eventually just jumped back on the ship to go back home. As soon as I got back on dry land, Selena revealed that she's, here. She snuck on board and is now gonna follow her dream of going to Harmonica Town. I ended up finding her at the brass bar, where Hayden hired her as a dancer. So I guess the bar is now a burlesque club. Not only did she become a stowaway, but she also decided it's okay to use me as a little mail carrier to send a letter to her mom and dad. This day was already too long, so I put a cap on it and found some solace in the money that I made. Farm chores are the name of the game to start day 21. I collected eggs and milk from Calvin and Coco respectively, and then harvested all the ripe lettuce heads and strawberries before getting everything placed in the shipping bin. I went over to Marimba Farms to replenish my field of lettuce seeds, and got all those bad boys watered before I saw this really cute duck in the rain collection tub thingy, or whatever this little guy's floating in behind my house. I went down to Harmonica Town's clinic and ran into Irene having a discussion with a new villager. Well, a new villager to me, it's Dr. Jin, who has returned from a sabbatical. He also loves herbal tea, by the way. I hopped on Pascal's boat to head over to Toucan Island to give Sue and Samson the letter from Selena. Essentially, she just apologizes for running away, but don't worry, she's got a job and she'll visit when she can. Samson thanks me for being the mailman and rewards my efforts with the hibiscus flower that I needed for the wizard's quest. That's all I really came here for, so I hop back on the boat and give Selena a coconut I found on the island, which is one of her favorite gifts. I gave the wizard the hibiscus flower that I just received, and then ran back home, where I guess somehow Samson got some mail to me already, letting me know that they are back in business. I've done a lot of traveling today, so I decided to call it an early day and cash my check. A new farm member is welcome to the coop to start day 22, a baby chick I named Colleen. I just realized now, by the way, that Colleen is actually the name of a villager, so that seems kind of rude. I didn't remember that when I made the name. I'm sorry. Anyways, now that Jin is back, I've got some mail from the clinic advertising their new products. But taking care of my new animal is the most important thing. I get the lettuce heads ripped up from the ground and the seedlings watered before spending most of my day in the 𝐼𝐵 mines. Today was a very successful mining trip as I found some gold, some copper, and some silver ore to refine later. I also found my first Pontetta root for bopping this little mole dude on the head. The 22nd day of every season welcomes the circus to town. In this universe, Mayor Theodore from Magical Melody is a ringmaster who has lost a couple of his circus animals that I agree to help him find. My first animal to track down is the giraffe Eunice. She'll only go home if we have a specific recipe made for her, so Theodore kindly teaches me how to make every recipe I'll need. Since I definitely don't have the ingredients for that right now, I make my way over to the clinic to ingest some more cold medicine after encountering more sickness gas in the mines. I finish the day off by making more herbal tea in the kitchen. Now that I have room in the incubator, I can start day 23 by throwing a duck egg in it. I harvest the ripe lettuce heads and water the not-so-ripe lettuce before running over to the watered cave and catching some fish. Theodore mentioned Eunice likes to hide near tall structures, and I found her hanging out by the lighthouse. But unfortunately, I don't have the fish dish needed to get her to trust me. Speaking of trust, I don't trust this newest bachelorette who's come to town, Luna. I don't know what it is about her, but she's definitely hiding something in those pigtails. They're just too big.
What do you mean by that?
I have a lot of cash right now, so I decided to purchase some more cooking utensils at the general store, then go across to the blacksmith to purchase an iron hammer. At this point, I really don't use the power-up feature for the hammer, so it's really more of an aesthetic purchase for now. After my mining session, I decided to do some refining and got a couple of bars of iron, silver, and copper, which will come in handy much later. I spent the evening making more sashimi in the kitchen and finished the day off by getting all that deposited in the shipping bin. 9,000 G isn't a bad return for an honest day's work. I start off day 24 by milking cocoa for some decent milk, and then plucking some lettuce out of the ground to put in the shipping bin. I make sure all of my growing crops are properly watered, and then it's down to the Horn Ranch to purchase some fodder and feed before deciding I needed another animal. A baby sheep I decided to name Carl. I got some fertilizer from the Marimba farms, but it's so hard to see the color difference between differing soil levels in terms of fertilization. And all fertilizer really does is increase crop growth speed, not quality. So it's not useful for a lot of stuff, but I thought I'd give it a try anyways. Back in the barn, I gave Carl her first meal, and then I headed over to the 𝐼𝐵 mines to look for more ores and wonderfuls. I had some pretty good luck today, but that luck did not extend to the refining process. I didn't get any diamonds from all these white wonderfuls I got, and I still haven't got any rare metal from the ores I have been able to find. I spent the evening doing some fishing down at the goddess pond and placed my haul into the shipping bin to finish off the day. I've got some mail to start off day 25. Shelly sent me an ad for all her new clothes and accessories in stock, and Marimba Farms now has rice. I got all my growing lettuce heads nice and wet, then spent most of the morning doing a run in the upper 𝐼𝐵 mines. This back-to-back gold ore was the best moment of this session, and of course I'm gonna hit up the accessory shop to refine what I found today. All in all, a pretty disappointing return was saved by getting some gold. Over at the blacksmith's, I bought myself the iron fishing rod upgrade, and then went into the clinic to purchase the 5 body geysers I needed for Shelly's quest. I'll get those delivered to her ASAP, and now I just need honey and perfect wool. While I'm here, I decided to pick up some fresh new clothes in the form of a pretty nifty looking tracksuit. With my new exercise wear equipped, I finished off day 5 by fishing down by the goddess pond, dropping off my caught fish into the shipping bin, and getting ready for bed. I start off day 26 in the barn, making sure Carl is one happy little animal, and then it's out into the field to harvest my last large crop of lettuce. Now that the spring season is slowly coming to an end, I only have a handful of crops to water. So I finish off my chores by getting those freshly harvested crops placed in the shipping bin, then running over to Marimba Farms, where Ruth is telling me some stuff that she already explained in her mail advertisement. I purchased some honey and corn from her, and then ran over to the windmill. Using whatever mechanism is in here, I get that corn turned into cornmeal, then gave Shelly the honey I purchased as part of her quest. I then ran up to the wizard's house and gave him the cornmeal I just made, and take another step towards curing the witch princess. The rest of day 26 was spent in the Garmin mines. I found quite a lot of ores and wonderfuls, but the most exciting thing that happened today was leveling up my hammer skill to level 3. I tried to refine what I found in the mines today, but completely forgot all the stores in the Garmin Mines District are closed on Thursdays. So I just called it a day and watched my last big payday of the spring season roll in. As I exit my house to start day 27, Mayor Hamilton is already out in front to talk to me about tomorrow's Animal Festival, where I'll be able to show off my animals to all the townsfolk. It looks like I've got some mail from Barbara at the general store as she's got some new products in stock, and I make sure that my bird friends are well fed before collecting a fresh duck egg. Out in the field, I've got a lot of work to do. I've got some weeds to scythe, lettuce and strawberries to harvest, and some squares to till to prepare for the summer crop. There really isn't that much to do this late in the season, so I spent pretty much all day looking for more ores and wonderfuls in the mines. I had a pretty decent haul today, and the refining process was actually pretty good. I got a whole bunch of copper and iron ores, I got crystals, opals, amber, topaz, silver, and a little bit of gold as well. A lot of these will be used for profit, but I will be able to create some accessories in the future that a lot of characters love. I bought myself the copper upgrade for my fishing rod before spending the remainder of day 27 doing some fishing at the lake on my farm where I caught my first ever catfish. Day 28 and the final day of spring begins in the barn milking cocoa. I'm not going to get any more crops, so I cut down all the weeds and strawberry vines in preparation for tomorrow's crop planting, and now the field is nice and clear and full of opportunity. I then ran down to Flute Fields where the Animal Festival is underway. There are a bunch of competitions going on, but what I'm really here for is two things: perfect sheep butter and perfect wool, which I can purchase from Hannah. Of course, I tried my hand at the animal competition by entering Coco in, but I got last place, since I've only had her for a single season. Since I can't complete any of those quests that I bought those items for because of the festival, I spent the remainder of the final day of spring in the Garmin Mines, where I found myself some gold, copper, and rare ore on floor 31. I finished the day off and got a little surprise from Finn. Thanks to all my farming profits this season, I got my first title, Master Farmer. It isn't the ultimate farmer title I wanted, but hey, I'll definitely take 50 units of good fertilizer. I wake up on day 29, the first day of summer, and Hamilton is just in my house. He's just there. He congratulates me on becoming a master farmer and explains what I already knew about titles and rewards. Unfortunately, I went to bed with a full rucksack, so I'll have to sacrifice my catfish for the fertilizer that I got. Speaking of fertilizer, I immediately threw down the 50 units I had into the field and got it watered before heading over to the wizard's house to give him the perfect sheep's butter I bought at the Animal Festival yesterday. With that, the wizard finally had all the ingredients needed to make the potion to return the witch princess to her mortal form. We made our way to the center of Fugu Forest, where the wizard did some magic stuff, and now I can formally introduce you all to the final bachelorette candidate, the witch princess. Another bonus of bringing the witch princess back from frog form is the fact that she was in possession of another bell, the green bell. Lucky enough for me, I already know where the pedestal is for this one. So I ran over to the windmill at the Horn Ranch and got the green harvest sprite to ring the bell. The sweet summer air is injected with music as the surroundings of Horn Ranch are returned to normal. Now that I've concluded that little quest line, I can get back to farming by purchasing a bunch of watermelon seeds and getting those spread out on the farmland. Colleen the chicken has fully matured, so I grabbed my first ever homegrown chicken egg and went out to the accessory shop to do some refining. The highlights of this session were my first ever diamond, a solid bit of copper, and a single piece of gold. Over at the blacksmith, I purchased the iron upgrade for my remaining old tools, and then it's over to the general store, who has a medium fridge in stock. So I got that purchased, and now I have so much more room to store crops and forageables. I went back to Marimba Farms to get me some more seeds, including some onions, and I got those planted to fill out the field. As you can see, I'm still somewhat clumsy in the controls for this game. I spent the afternoon doing some fishing where I caught 3 catfish, the perfect amount needed to combine with a single herb in the oven to make the herb grilled fish that Eunice the giraffe wants. But completing that quest is a little too much for this first day of summer, so I just called it a day. I've got another farm friend hatched to start day 30, a little duckling named Clint. With that being said, today definitely won't be sunshine and rainbows, as a typhoon has made landfall in Harmonica Town, destroying quite a lot of my crops. I worked hard through the storm to get the field back to normal, and even got another chicken egg into the incubator. I provided Shelly with the perfect wool I bought on day 28, so that she could finally craft the final rucksack upgrade. I've now got space for 30 items. There's so much room for activities. After that brief moment of excitement, it's back to the lighthouse I go, where I give Eunice the herb grilled fish that I made last night, and she can finally rejoin Theodore at the circus. I went over to Marimba Farms to buy more watermelon seeds to replace the ones destroyed by the typhoon overnight, and I spent the remainder of this day doing some ore collecting in the Garmin mines and relaxing in the hot springs. I've got some mail to start up day 31. The blacksmith can now upgrade tools to silver and gold, and Theodore let me know that Eunice made her way back safely. I got cocoa milked and spent a bit of time this morning spamming my scythe to get that tool skill up to level 2. I bought some wheat from Ruth at Marimba Farms and took it over to the windmill to make some flour. Over at Horn Ranch, I purchased some butter and combined that with the flour and milk in the oven to make some homemade bread. I used the animal whistle outside the entrance to Fugu Forest, and out came a little elephant friend. In case you didn't know, elephants famously love bread. Don't fact check me on that, it's probably not true, it's just true in this universe. With that carbohydrate boost, Trunks the elephant can return to Theodore at the circus. There is one more circus animal that we need to find and feed. So I went to Horn Ranch to pick up some more butter and cheese, and then did another round of flour making by purchasing some wheat at Marimba Farms and utilizing the windmill. All of those ingredients get stowed away in the refrigerator, and then it's over to the Garmin mines to finish this day off by collecting some rare ore. Another day means another letter in my mailbox. Once again, it's Theodore to start day 32. The final circus animal, Humphrey the hippo, is lost and probably near a swamp. I'll remember that, but a nice rainy day means I don't have to water any crops, so I spent most of this day in the Garmin mines. Collecting ores whilst avoiding all these crazy gas effects is quite difficult, but I'm slowly getting used to it, and having these hot springs to relax in helps a lot too. Down at the watermill, I found Toby doing some fishing. After congratulating him on his fantastic angling skills, he mentioned that the land is plentiful once again. Fish are fishing and the watermill's working, and he's one of the many people in the valley who feel that your boy is personally responsible. Which he is, by the way. He's totally responsible. None of you are helping me, it's just me doing all this work. As day turns to night, I spent some time doing some foraging down by the beach, collecting some oysters, sakura shells, and mussels. It must have been a while since I've actually gone into the brass bar, since apparently they've been saving their grand opening for me. I mean, it's been like 2 whole weeks since I've rang the blue bell and Selena's come to town. But I'm not gonna be too mad at it. Kathy gave me some treats on the house, so who am I to say no? And that's how day 32 came to a close. My first harvest of the season is ready on day 33. I picked up some tea leaves and made sure that my watermelons were watered before going into the kitchen to make some new dishes, starting with a boiled egg and finishing with some green tea. Ruth at Marimba Farms sells me some more watermelon seeds, and then I stumbled upon this cute cutscene with the Horn Ranch family. They're enjoying the summer breeze and all the benefits the green bell ringing has brought back to them, ignorant of the fact that yours truly is a reason for all their happiness. Over at the church, Perry mentioned that he's heard a weird noise coming from the side rooms at 2 a.m. and that there's a bell in there. Obviously, that's of great interest to me, the bell ringing man. To kill some time before 2 a.m., I collected some ores in the Garmin mines, And to this day, this haul of 3 rare ore on floor 28 is my best ever mining session. As the clock struck 2 a.m., I entered the church and found a frightened Perry running for his life in fear of a ghost. Turns out it's just 𝐿, the purple harvest sprite, crying his eyes out because he doesn't have any friends and all the villagers stopped making wishes. You can make wishes at the Wishing Shrine, who would have thunk it, which is in the room on the opposite side of the church. Finn and I have no clue what we're doing, so we default to asking the harvest goddess for advice. And she says that I need to ask 10 people what they wish for. But first, I have to befriend them by getting them up to 3 hearts, which is no easy task in this game whatsoever. So I went to bed with that looming albatross of having to befriend 10 people weighing on my mind. Hamilton is once again at my front door the morning of day 34, informing me of the impending Firefly Festival. I still don't have anyone to take, so I'll be going stag. My first crop of watermelons are ready for harvest, so I get those plucked out and put in the shipping bin. Then it's time to get a whole bunch of tomatoes wet. But the most interesting development is that I upgraded my watering can skill to level 3. I got Coco milked in the barn, and she now has 5 hearts, and I can finally ride one of my animals. I took her out into the field and took my first ever ride. Cows move about 30% faster than regular running speed, so this should make traversing the map much easier, even if I look pretty silly doing it. I gave Renee some warm milk, one of her favorite gifts, and Kane a mussel, as I worked to making those 10 friends. I ordered 60 more watermelon seeds from Ruth at 𝐼𝐵 Farms, and then gave Anissa some herbal tea. I sewed a bunch of those seeds in the empty squares, and then ran to the clinic to give Jin an extra large body geyser, his favorite gift. Both Hayden and Ozzy are big fans of sea urchins, and Pascal and Paolo really love oysters. Jake and Colleen are adults, so of course they enjoy a nice cocktail, and Owen gets all his protein from these boiled eggs. Then it was over to the mines to give Calvin a cocktail, and crush some rocks to reveal some ores and wonderfuls to collect. A refining session at the accessory shop was the final thing on the list for today. I had a whole bunch of ores to break down, and I finally got my first rare metal, along with some gold, copper, silver, and a whole bunch of gems from the white wonderfuls, including a diamond, which instantly got dumped into the shipping bin. I ended day 34 by making a whole bunch of money. Hamilton is in my mailbox once again, this time trying to sell me new properties on day 35. I hit up the coop and collect some fresh eggs, then it's over to the field where my tomatoes have ripened, and I make sure to keep one for a special quest later on. Today I learned that my aquatic birds aren't fans of water, before giving Jin another extra large body geyser. If I'm going to befriend 10 people, it's going to take a long time looking at the current heart levels of these villagers. The Firefly Festival is later on this evening, so I killed some time collecting some ores and wonderfuls at the Garmin Mines, and then ran down to the riverbed to take part in the festivities. Of course, I'm not friendly enough with anyone to have a date yet, so I just hung out with Perry, where he yapped about stuff I didn't feel like paying attention to. I received my first ever shining quality milk from Coco to start day 36. I had a solid watermelon harvest yesterday, so I bought some more seeds this morning, and then got those spread out. Today I learned that almost every store in Harmonica Town is closed on Sundays. And of course, I caught myself a cold in the mines today, so that's some amazing luck. Unsarcastically, what actually is amazing luck is the fact that I got a diamond from only 19 white wonderfuls during my refining session. Since the clinic is closed today, I'll have to pay double for that cold medicine over the phone. That illness really took it out of me, so I decided to hit the hay early. Another chicken friend has hatched to start day 37, and I gave her the most morbid name possible, Crispy. But don't worry, little Crispy won't meet such an ominous fate. There really isn't much to mention today since most of it was spent in the Garmin Mines, but if I'm going to get all 6 tools to goddess level, I'm gonna need a lot of rare ore with my refining luck. The blue-haired bachelorette Candace woke me up on day 38 and gave me some good silk yarn. Gee, thanks Candace, I really appreciate it. I'm totally not gonna sell that. I get the crops watered in the morning and do a little bit of beach foraging before going to 𝐼𝐵 Farms to purchase some more watermelon seeds before my next harvest. Once again, the rest of the day was pretty much entirely spent in the mines looking for as many ores as my little hands could carry. I collected some fresh duck eggs in the coop to start day 39, And in the barn, Carl has finally matured to a healthy, full-size sheep. The fertilizer is working its magic as I have yet another crop of watermelons needed to be picked, and I get those vacant squares populated with seeds that I bought yesterday. Of course, I gotta get some nice moisture over all of my juicy gourds, and this harvest should net me a very nice profit. Now that I have a rideable animal, I can talk to Cain at Horn Ranch and practice my jockey skills. I have no clue why anyone would enter a race with a cow, but Coco is the only option for me. Side note, I really like this horse race minigame in Animal Parade. It's much more interesting and fun than even the remade Friends of Mineral Town horse racing game. Completely ignore the fact that I lost this practice race. I'll eventually get a horse and have my revenge against Selena, Hannah, Pascal, and Ramsey. All that racing really took it out of me, so I hit up the hot spring and then get back into the Garmin mines to get those ores and wonderfuls. After combining my loot from a couple of mining sessions for refining, I got myself a couple topaz gems, a diamond, some bricks of silver metal, and a little bit of gold to end the day. I chose to start day 40 by doing my farm chores, plucking some watermelons, sowing some seeds, and getting everything nice and watered, before checking my mailbox where the Ocarina Inn has some new dishes on the menu. I'm pretty flush with cash these days, so I bought a bell and shears, as well as doing a complete restock on feed and fodder from Horn Ranch. Down at the wharf, I ran into Ozzy, who put me on a little side quest to do some ocean recycling. But not just any recycling, this guy's asking me to fish out 279 pieces of trash and algae, so that's going to take quite a long time. I don't have time for all that mess right now, since Carl needs her first shear. Turns out Carl doesn't like getting her hair cut, so I probably won't do that again. I then went over to 𝐹𝐵𝐺 Forest. Yes, I've been mispronouncing 𝐹𝐵𝐺 all this time. Shout out to ts_KINA in the Discord server, which all of you should totally join, by the way, hint hint nudge nudge, for letting me know I was pronouncing it wrong. Anyways, I chopped some wood in 𝐹𝐵𝐺 Forest, and then gave the witch princess a 𝐹𝐵𝐺 mushroom, one of her favorite gifts. I then utilized the hot spring to regain some stamina, and then spent the entire evening spamming my hoe tool to get experience points. Sonata Tailoring and the Brass Bar have some ads in my mailbox to start day 41. And over in the barn, Carl looks really sad being all naked and exposed to the world, so I give her some pets. I then ran out into the field to harvest some watermelons and water my growing gourds, and I made some hot milk in the kitchen and gifted that to Renee, before grabbing some more watermelon seeds at 𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 Farms. I can't lie, I was tempted by Shelly's mail ad this morning, so I went down to town to look at the new merchandise she's got in stock, but nothing is speaking to me today. I spent the entire rest of the day in 𝐹𝐵𝐺 Forest, leveling up my axe and collecting some wood, before jumping into bed for a good night's rest. Anissa almost broke down my door on day 42, as she gifted me with some herbal tea to start my day. All of the watermelons I planted in the non-fertilized spaces are ripe today, so I get those harvested and get all 71 dropped into the shipping bin. Of course, I get all those squares repopulated, then run over to 𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 Farms to re-gift that herbal tea to Anissa. Today was another all-day mining session, culminating in a rare extra-large body geyser drop from this little mole dude. I've got another ad in my mailbox on day 43. 𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 Farms is now selling shining fertilizer, which will definitely come in handy later. But other than that, today's a pretty short day, as all I really did was my farm chores and doing another run in the Garmin mines, getting my hammer skill XP, and looking for ores. Day 44 is the day before the summer festival, so Hamilton is up bright and early to tell me about the fishing competition for tomorrow. Crispy has finally matured now that I can collect eggs from her, and then I grabbed my first churn of sheep's milk from Carl at the barn. A solid batch of watermelons are ready for harvest. Then I got all the growing crops watered before running down to Hamilton's to make my first ever massive purchase. A new plot of farmland, the river plot, for 70,000 G. Before getting started on that plot, I gave Candace a herbal tea and got her up to 3 hearts, and I have received my first ever wish for the purple bell. Making wishes is super easy. Just head up to the wishing shrine in the church, get on your knees, and the power of magic will start coloring this little picture. Wishmaking aside, I can finally get started on my new plot of land, which has an additional 100 farmable squares. So I spent the afternoon tilling out the entire area, and then went over to Marimba Farms to purchase a whole bunch of tea seeds. With an extra field to work on, a break in the hot springs is definitely needed, so that I have the required stamina to plant and water all these soon-to-be tea saplings before the day ends. Since day 45 is a festival day, I utilized Taylor seeds to purchase the remaining 30 seeds I need to fill up the river plot. I get all of those new seeds watered and harvest the ripe watermelons in what I will now be calling the original field. Those watermelons are placed in the shipping bin, then it's down to the beach where the fishing competition has begun. Once again, I don't think I'm doing these festivals right, and I feel like I'm missing events. I honestly don't know how this competition is judged either, but I got second place, so I'll definitely take those free 10 body geysers as a reward to end the day. An important piece of mail landed in my mailbox on day 46. Horn Ranch now sells bowls. But unfortunately, it's a Wednesday, so the ranch is closed anyways. I get some sashimi placed into the shipping bin along with the 10 body geysers I won yesterday, and then do my farm chores that consist of harvesting some tea leaves at the river plot, ordering more watermelon seeds for delivery, and getting those sown into the original field. Today's trip into the Garmin mines was solely focused on collecting Wonderfuls, since they make you the most money after refining. I was able to get around 50 white Wonderfuls, which only translated into 10 crystals, a handful of opals, and a single diamond, but going to bed 13,000 G richer isn't a bad return. The morning of day 47 is just filled with farm chores, collecting eggs from the coop, milking cocoa for some delicious white liquid, harvesting some green tea leaves, and using a silver can to put water on some dirt. I deposited 7 units of tea leaves into the shipping bin, then ran over to Horn Ranch to purchase my brand new horse baby, who I named Charles. While I'm over on this side of the map, I decided to top off on feed and fodder from the ranch and pick up more tea seeds at Marimba Farms, before doing yet another run in the upper Garmin mines. Before the clock hit midnight, I remembered to sow those tea leaves I bought this afternoon. Yet another bachelorette is at my door the morning of day 48. This time, it's Renee with a gift of a good chicken egg. Allow me to formally introduce all of you to my new large animal friend, Charles, and then it's out into the field where I make the money that pays for all the animal husbandry supplements that's going to turn Charles into a Triple Crown winning steed. Down at Marimba, I gave Anissa the final herbal tea needed to get her to trust me enough to tell me her wish: a happy family. I bought more tea seeds from Anissa's mom and then got them sown and watered in the river plot before running down to Harmonica Town, where Jin is happy to tell me that his wish is for everyone to be healthy. To finish the day off, I went to the wishing shrine to relay those aspirations, and the little painting thingy is starting to look way more colorful. I'm whipping up some green tea in the kitchen to kick off day 49, and today's a stormy day, so I checked on my coop animals and collected some eggs before running out into the rainstorm to collect my ripe watermelons. Since we're coming up to the end of the season, I purchased the tea seeds for the original field, since they don't take that long to grow, and then made my way up to the Garmin mines using the mine cart. I finally have enough money saved up to upgrade my fishing rod and hammer to silver, so I do that, then run over to the accessory shop and got super lucky by refining 3 rare metals from only 11 ore. It's been a while since I last did a watery cave run, so I got myself a couple of Wonderfuls down there, then ran into Chase at the Brass Inn. Essentially, I started a quest line where I have to make food for him to judge, starting with stuff made with a cutting board. But that sounds like a mission for another day, so I went to bed and made my 19,000 G. It's been a couple of days without some mail, so I'm excited to see that the general store and carpenter shop have new products on day 50. I grabbed myself some shiny milk from Coco in the barn, and then it's over to the river plot to harvest all my leaf soup ingredients. I get the field watered, then purchase some more seeds from Taylor over the phone that instantly get sown. The hot springs are calling my name this morning, so I take a quick dip before hitting this sick collateral hammer swing in the watery cave. Since the circus is in town today, I went to the church grounds to see that Trunks and Eunice did make it back to Theodore nice and safe, and then I finished the day off by making some sleepy time tea and hitting the sack. Colleen laid her first ever shining egg to start day 51, and then it's over to the barn, where I've reached 5 hearts with Carl the sheep and can now use her as a mount. I made sure that all my watermelons were watered and harvested the ripe ones before ringing out my animals for the day. Today was a special ringing since I got a power berry, signaling that I've got my first ever animal, Coco, to 10 hearts of friendship. I then took my first ride on the back of Carl, who moves about as fast as a cow, but I definitely look like less of an idiot riding the sheep. I picked up some more tea seeds from Ruth at Marimba Farms, got those planted at the river plot, and then spent the remainder of day 51 in the Garmin Mines looking for ores and wonderfuls. The morning of day 52 is upon us. I got some watermelons harvested, some tea saplings watered, and more seeds purchased from Ruth, and got those seeds sown in the original field. The exciting bit today comes where I spent money. Barbara informed me that they had some new goods in stock, so I bought a large refrigerator and then ran over to Dale the carpenter to buy a medium-sized shelf. I got both of those bad boys placed at my house, and now I have almost double the storage space for crops, and I finally have a place to house my ores, metals, and wonderfuls. I didn't have much else to do today, so I just called it there and went to bed early. I got myself an advertisement from the Brass Bar to kick off day 53. Coco had some shining milk for me in the barn, and a solid group of tea leaves are ready for harvest. Today is the last day I can plant tea leaves before the season ends and still be able to harvest them, but since it's Wednesday, I'll have to pay double from Taylor Seeds delivery. Even paying double is worth it, so I get those seeds thrown down and watered, then run to the inn to give Jake a cocktail. I finally got him up to 3 hearts and received his wish for everyone to treat plants and animals with care and kindness. Speaking of wishes, Perry has also become my friend, and his wish is for a world without suffering where everyone's rights are respected. How noble of you, Perry. But the friendship train isn't over yet, as Owen has reached 3 hearts as well. He wished for eternal strength, so definitely not as altruistic as our local pastor. To finish off the day, I got down on my knees and relayed these wishes at the wishing shrine, and now I only have 4 more wishes to go. I spent the morning of day 54 in the kitchen, turning my decent and good tea leaves into green tea since the beverage sells for more than the raw goods. In the original field, I got my final harvest of watermelons plucked from the ground, and then went over to the river plot to grab some more tea leaves. With all these crops in the shipping bin, I'm expecting a pretty good payday tonight, and I make sure to get any remaining tea saplings watered before running over to the barn at Horn Ranch and gifting Renee with some hot milk. That hot milk got her up to 3 hearts, and her wish is for things to stay as they are. I was able to befriend Brass Bar owner Hayden, and his wish is my favorite of the bunch. I'd like to have a face that doesn't scare the kids away. Anyway, I can take all those wishes to the wishing shrine and get them deposited. I then run over to the watery caves where I spent the remainder of my day finding wonderfuls, and then as I slept, over 33,000 G entered my bank account thanks to all those watermelons and tea leaves. I'm back in the kitchen making more green tea to start day 55. In the coop, I picked up a shining duck egg and gave Calvin some well-needed pets. And then it's out to the original field where a whole bunch of tea leaves are ready for harvest. I got the remaining crops watered over at the river plot. Then it was over to the accessory shop to do some refining. From only 20 purple wonderfuls, I got 4 spinels, or spinels, however you pronounce it, and 2 amethysts, so all in all, pretty good luck today. At the blacksmith, I upgraded all of my iron tools to copper level for the not-so-low price of 42,000 G, but hey, now every tool I have is at least copper quality. Down at the wharf, I've given Ozzy enough oysters to befriend him and receive his wish for clean rivers, lakes, and oceans teeming with fish. And then I got the final 10th wish by befriending Paolo. I collected his wish to find and visit Atlantis, and took it to the wishing shrine where the little goddess painting has been restored with the magic power of wishes. With those 10 wishes deposited, Finn and I can make our way to Edge's purple bell and get him to ring the final of 5 bells, as another wave of music and wonder rains down upon the citizens of Harmonica Town. I took a quick minecart trip up to the Garmin Mines district and ran over to the goddess pond where the harvest goddess thanks me for ringing the 5 bells. But wait, the goddess tree is still dying. Our journey in getting everything back to normal continues as we need the help of the Harvest King. But in order to summon him, I need to be, at minimum, a hero title farmer. To finish the day off, the Harvest Sprites teleport their way to the mountaintop, where they will wait for me to achieve that hero farmer status. Day 56 begins in the mailbox as Ocarina Inn has some new menu items, and Hamilton is peddling more property I can't afford. I get the birds fed in the coop and check up on Charles in the barn, before running out into the original field to harvest my final crop of tea leaves and get the hoe out to prepare my land for the incoming fall crop. Since it's the last day of summer, I made sure to collect the raspberry forageables in flute fields and spent the entirety of my day making green tea in the kitchen. It's quite tiring turning those 63 tea leaves into a delicious hot beverage, but I made a solid bit of money from that tea, and as summer turned to fall, I earned the title of Super Farmer, meaning I can now summon the Harvest King. I also got 80 units of perfect fertilizer, which isn't too shabby. The first day of fall, day 57, begins in the coop, making sure I got happy birds. I move over to the barn to collect some milk from Coco, and then I beeline it to the Garmin Mines. I traverse the 45 floors needed to make it all the way to the mountaintop, and join the Harvest Goddess and Harvest Sprite at the pedestal. With everyone here and my new status as Super Farmer achieved, we can combine the melody of all 5 bells and pray to the great above. Another way too bright flash of light later, the Harvest King, wrapped in shiny, sparkling red lights, descends upon the world, and he looks pissed. We all run down to the sanctuary where the Harvest King uses his superior magic power to restore the tree and bring it back to life as it is enveloped in green energy. Now we have officially saved the goddess and restored the valley. Thus, the goddess tree was revived and nature was restored. The people were so thankful and vowed to protect nature so it would not be lost again. The 5 bells restored with the help of a human will echo on forever. With all that being completed, I have officially accomplished my first goal of ringing all 5 bells and finishing the story. With that being said, there is still so much to do. So Finn and I chat while watching the sunset and put an end to day 57. However, if I knew that finishing the main questline would have just ended the day outright, I definitely would have planted some stuff, but them's the breaks. A super exciting item is in my mailbox on day 58. The blacksmith can now craft goddess level tools now that the Harvest King is back. I also get some mail from the king himself asking me to meet up with him, but that's whatever. Today I need to make up for losing pretty much all of day 57, so I'm in the original field getting it prepped for new fall crops by scything weeds and tilling squares, then utilizing those 80 units of perfect fertilizer I got for becoming a super farmer. Funnily enough, the most profitable crop for fall isn't even a crop at all. It's a blue mist flower. So I get about 240 of those purchased along with some other seeds, and then make the all-important purchase of a single bell pepper. I get all of those seeds planted in the field, and then it's over to the kitchen where I start by combining flour and butter to make pie crust. And then I take that pie crust and add some cheese, tomato from the summer crop, potato from spring, and the newly purchased bell pepper to make a veggie pizza. I speed ran through Fugue Forest and blew my animal whistle near the swamp by the witch's hut, and Humphrey the hippo surfaced. I provide the hungry hippo with the pizza, and now our deadly friend can return to Theodore at the circus. But more importantly, I can cross out another goal off my list. I made my way over to the blacksmith and purchased my first ever goddess tool, the goddess watering can. When fully powered up, this baby can water 20 crops at once, which is really nice. That evening, I ran into the wizard, who is super sad after losing his crystal ball. So Finn and I decide that we'll help our boy out and find it for him. But that's another quest for another day, as I put a lid on a very eventful day 58. I received confirmation on day 59 that Humphrey the hippo made it home safely, then ran into the barn to collect some milk from Coco. Behold the power of the goddess watering can. It still takes forever to water everything, but at least it's efficient. Fun fact, Luna doesn't like cocktails, so don't try to give her any. Give them all to Kathy instead. She loves them. I gave Shelly some herbal tea and Selena a cocktail, then ran into the inn where Colleen said her husband is acting strange. I talked to Jake and he's adamant nothing's wrong and that he's just trying to give her everything she wants. But Finn is convinced that Jake is using the wizard's crystal ball to read minds. But once again, that sounds like a lot of work, so I just bought a boat ticket to escape to Toucan Island. As I touched down on the island, I gave Sue a cocktail, which she loves, and did some foraging for bananas and coconuts. Samson is also a big fan of cocktails, so I gave him one, then sailed back home. Ramsey likes green tea quite a bit, as does Mira. Julius loves himself a cocktail, and Luke is also a part of the cocktail club. Bo's more of a herbal tea guy, and so is Dale the carpenter. I decided to help out the Harvest King and made my way up to the top of the mountain once again. He said he's looking for someone with a pure heart, but apparently I don't know anyone with a heart of gold outside myself. But just in case I stumble upon anyone that fits that description, the Harvest King uses his magic power to light up the little sigils on this rock. And now I have a little quick travel option to get up and down the mountain, which is pretty handy. As I was trying to sleep, Finn just can't wait to get on my nerves, and he doesn't know what he needs to focus on to give his life purpose. But of course, I've got the answer for him, which is just caring for others, and he assures me he can do it. I guess I caught a cold yesterday getting to the top of the mountain, so I start day 60 by chugging some cold medicine. I got some perfect sheep's milk from Carl in the barn, and got my blue mist flowers misted at the river plot before doing some ore hunting in the 𝐼𝐵𝐵 mines. I had a decent haul today, so I did some refining, and got myself a bit of silver and gold metal, as well as a topaz. Like Luna, Gil also doesn't like cocktails, but I love me some cold medicine, if you know what I mean.
Sir, you're ill.
Thank you.
I start off day 61 by making sure that all of my birds and large animals are happy and healthy. Here's a peek at my friendship levels with all the animals in case you were curious. And I had my first round of flowers ready for plucking today. The cool thing about flowers in Animal Parade is that they attract bees that can give you honey and royal jelly, which are amazing gifts. I got all those picked flowers into the shipping bin and watered the dry spots near the river farm before running over to Marimba to pick up more blue mist seeds and some fertilizer. Because these flowers grow 4 days faster in perfect soil, it is absolutely worth it to get your soil up to level 5 fertilization in all your fields when growing blue mist flowers. I did the math, and the difference between level 1 soil and level 5 soil is around 600,000 G, taking seed and fertilizer costs into account. I spent the afternoon doing some foraging down by the beach, and then ran up to the 𝐼𝐵𝐵 mines district and utilized my new teleport runes to get to the top of the mountain. I had a quick dip in the hot springs before doing a nice little mining session where I caught another cold. I decided that today was the last day I go to the mines without cold medicine in reserve. So I took the minecart to Harmonica Town and purchased 10 cold medicines from Irene at the clinic. Fun fact, one of Gil's favorite gifts is the royal jelly that you can get from the bees, so I gave him one of those and then ran home to go to bed. Just look at all that flower money roll in. Doesn't it bring a tear to your eye? Just me? Okay. Charles the horse has fully matured on day 62, but I still need to get him up to 5 hearts to ride him around town. I got my flowers watered in the original field, then ran down to Marimba Farms to purchase more fertilizer. After you water the soil, it's really difficult to figure out what squares need fertilizer, so I spent more time than I'm proud of making sure I got every square fertilized. I spent most of this day in Fugue Forest, utilizing my brand new copper axe and cutting down some trees. I'm gonna need a lot of wood to get all the coop, barn, and house upgrades, so it's better to start on that sooner than later. That evening, I went down to the Ocarina Inn, where I found my pal Jake has been corrupted by the power of the wizard's crystal ball. He's able to read minds, but it made him go certified psycho status. The wizard eventually meets us at the inn to retrieve his magic item, but Jake goes full Smeagol mode to protect his precious. The wizard then uses the power of reverse psychology to convince Jake that he doesn't need to read everyone's mind and return the item to its rightful owner. The wizard then thanks me for my effort in getting his crystal ball back for him, and I end the day by running over to his house where he rewards me by allowing me to use his crystal ball whenever I see fit. I start off day 63 in the coop collecting some shiny chicken and duck eggs, then make my way to the original field where I've got a lot of ripe crops, including a carrot, which is important for later, some spinach, a bundle of grapes, a bell pepper, a yam, an eggplant, and some rice to finish it off. Over at the river plot, a whole bunch of flowers are ready to be harvested, and I even got some shining honey and royal jelly from this round of plucking. Getting all these 142 flowers into the shipping bin should result in a pretty decent payday. I ran down to Marimba Farms to purchase another stack of blue mist seeds and decent fertilizer for the not so low price of 10,000 G. I then get those seeds planted, fertilized, and watered in the river plot. I spent the remainder of this day in the 𝐼𝐵𝐵 mines finding ores and wonderfuls, but I had too many items in my backpack to be able to do any refining. So I called it a day and watched some blue mist money roll into my bank account. Day 64 begins in the original field where my pumpkin has finally ripened. I got a whole bunch of flowers picked, watered the budding stems, and then did some fall foraging in flute fields. I bought some more fertilizer and blue mist seeds from Ruth and took care of planting those in the river plot, then spent the remainder of the day once again in the 𝐼𝐵𝐵𝐺𝐵 mines, dodging annoying gas effects and collecting wonderfuls. Today though, I made sure I had enough room in my rucksack to do a massive refining session. I got myself 14 pieces of amber, 1 topaz gem, 5 crystals, and 4 opals, all of which went straight into the shipping bin before I jumped into bed. I've got a really short day 65, so listen close or you might miss it. I watered the moondrop seeds that I planted by accident, laid down some blue mist seeds in the original field, did some quick clam foraging down by the beach, and did a watery cave mining session. See? Pretty quick. The morning of day 66 begins by checking up on my feathered friends in the coop, then heading out to the river plot to harvest all of my ready moondrop and blue mist flowers. I utilized my goddess watering can to put some moisture in the soil, then sow some more flower seeds in the original field. I bought myself the silver axe upgrade today from Ramsey at the blacksmith, then went over to Fugue Forest to collect some wood. I did so much chopping that I now have 104 pieces of lumber, enough to purchase the level 2 house upgrade. While I was there, I also got myself the large storage shelf and got that placed down. My new kitchen, which now has 4 spots for utensils, got repopulated before having my first sleep in my new big bed. Unfortunately, farm chores aren't going to do themselves, so I'm back in the fields to start day 67, plucking flowers, sowing seeds, and watering the soil before running back up to Dale's carpenter shop to purchase the country interior for my house upgrade, so it looks a little bit more like it did when it was at level 1. I really had no reason for doing this, it's just much more pleasing to my eyes. I spent the remainder of this day doing a mining session in the 𝐼𝐵𝐺𝐵𝐺 mines. I crushed a lot of rocks and gems, and was able to collect a whole bunch of wonderfuls and rare ores. The highlight of this refining session were 3 topaz gems and 1 diamond. My first bit of mail in a while is from the accessories shop to start day 68. They can now craft more accessories now that I've shipped 50,000 G worth of mine items. In the river plot, I get the growing flowers watered and pick the fully grown blue mist, then run over to Marimba Farms to purchase more seeds. I get those planted in the original field and then do some more clam foraging by the beach. I had some money burning a hole in my pocket, so I went to Shelly's tailor shop and bought out every clothing item she had in stock. Guess who's the best dressed guy in town now? That's right, it's me, ya boy. I decided to instantly get my new fit dirty to finish off day 68 by teleporting to the mountaintop and doing a solid mining session. The Moon Festival is tomorrow, so of course Mayor Hamilton is at my door to start day 69 to tell me about it. The Moon Festival is one of the romantic festivals where you can take a bachelorette, but I've decided to wait on that and let all of you guys and gals decide who I marry in this series. There will be a straw poll link at the top of the description of this video where you can go and vote for which bachelorette candidate you would like to see become the wife. But for now, I'm just gonna be a lonely boy that picks flowers. I went down to Marimba Farms and bought more blue mist seeds and fertilizer, then got all those seeds planted. The soil was fertilized and watered before I ran over to the accessory shop to do the refining I wanted to do yesterday, but couldn't because it was a Thursday. I got myself 1 topaz gem, 2 amethysts, a whopping 14 silver metal, and 2 pieces of gold metal. I took all that silver over to the blacksmith and upgraded my sickle and hoe, and now all 6 of my tools are at least silver quality. Today I realized I haven't used my fishing rod since I got it to silver quality, so I spent the evening fishing by the beach, where I caught myself an octopus for the first time, as well as hooking a conger eel to end the day. Day 70, the day of the Moon Festival, begins in the fields harvesting and watering blue mist flowers. I went down to the lighthouse beach and caught myself a delicious cod, then killed some time in the watery cave mines, collecting wonderfuls. As the moon came into view, I rode Carl the sheep down to Flute Fields and ended a very short day 70 by enjoying a picnic in the moonlight. My first ever bird, Calvin, reached max hearts on day 71, and I also got my first shining chicken egg from Crispy. I got my budding flowers watered, then went into my shelf to collect some green and purple wonderfuls to refine. From this session, 2 amethysts, 5 paradots, 3 jades, and a single emerald that all get tossed into the shipping bin isn't too bad. Today was another fishing day, as I caught some cod at the beach, and my first rockfish on floor 50 of the watery cave mine before calling it a day and making just under 20,000 G. To start off day 72, I'm scything down some weeds and collecting some blue mist flowers to place in the shipping bin. I bought myself some fertilizer from Marimba Farms and then galloped down to Harmonica Town to make another massive purchase. 150,000 G towards the farm plot. Now I'm going to call this the Oceanside plot since it's closest to the ocean. This plot has got space for an extra 200 crops, so it took quite a bit of time and energy to get this plot fully tilled. I utilized the fertilizer I bought earlier in the original field before hopping on Pascal's boat to head over to Toucan Island. I collected some bananas and coconuts, then had my first ever fight with a kingfish, the barracuda. This fish not only is pretty expensive, but also gives the most fishing XP out of any fish in the game. That means it costs a lot of stamina to reel in. So much so that I had to chug an extra large body geyser to keep fishing, where I caught my first ever shark as well. As day turned to night, I took the boat back home and dropped off my fresh catch of the day in the shipping bin and made close to 50,000 G overnight. This is a moment I've been waiting for a long time. Charles is finally able to be ridden on day 73. So I speed run through my early morning farm chores of plucking flowers and prepping the river plot, and go on my first ride with Charles, which is lightning fast compared to the cow, sheep, and just walking around. The game really should have just given you a free rideable horse on day 1, in my opinion. I purchased 450 blue mist flower seeds for the low price of 22,000 G, but don't worry, after planting every single one of these bad boys, they'll eventually be worth 175,000 G, so it was very aesthetically pleasing to have 3 whole fields of flowers ready to make me money. I got my money flowers watered and then went over to Fugue Forest to chop some wood, and then I got some more fertilizer placed in the soil before calling it an early day. Day 74 was a rainy one, so I am in the coop hand feeding my animals once again. I decided to learn how to use the bell today, but failed and accidentally brought out my animals into the pouring rain, which got 3 of my birds sick. To add fuel to the fire, it was actually a Wednesday, so I had to pay double for the animal medicine over the phone to heal my little bird buddies. But it was worth every penny because 1, I'm not a psychopath, and 2, my chickens can be healthy again. I am a psychopath for rare ores though. I spent the remainder of day 74 crushing rocks looking for them. After collecting all the rare ores I've been hoarding, I was able to successfully refine 5 rare metal from about 20 rare ores, and I also got a couple topaz gems, so it's a pretty lucky way to end day 74. To start day 75, I checked on all my birds to make sure they recovered from their illness the day before, then went out to water my budding blue mist flowers. Even though I have a goddess watering can and a handful of power berries, I still need to utilize the hot springs with all these crops I have to water. As I was chopping more wood in Fugue Forest, I got my axe skill up to level 3, then decided to visit Toucan Island. All that wood chopping took it out of me, so I downed an extra large body geyser, then got to fishing. Even with that large bar of stamina, a barracuda managed to take all of it out of me before I was able to hook the bastard. So I ran home with my tail between my legs and cooked up some perfect sashimi to end the day. The flowers from the river plot and original field are ready for plucking on day 76, and it takes a really long time to collect all of them. This footage is sped up about 50 times, and it still takes about 10 seconds to harvest every single one. But that being said, they will fetch a nice profit when I ship them off. I ran down to Marimba Farms for a blue mist seed restock, and got those thrown down in the river plot utilizing the power of rain to make my job a little bit easier. With the energy I had left, I collected some wonderfuls in the upper garment mines and did a little refining session, highlighted by 5 pieces of gold metal and 1 diamond. But the big payoff today were those 250 blue mist flowers I shipped off for almost 100,000 G. I'm back in the coop to start day 77, where my birds have some more shining eggs for me. I get all the budding flowers watered in the Oceanside plot, then grab another 200 blue mist seeds in advance since I know Marimba Farms will be closed for tomorrow's circus. I took a quick dip in the hot spring, then ran up to Dale's carpenter shop to make 2 more massive purchases, the level 2 coop and level 2 barn. The expanded coop now has room for 8 birds, and the upgraded barn can hold 5 livestock in total. Because I had the extra space now, I decided to purchase 2 more fully grown cows, Candy and Crayon. Now that I have 0 wood, I spent the remainder of the day in Fugue Forest, getting my reserves back to a healthy amount. I've got some mail to start day 78. The general store now has a cheese and mayonnaise maker in stock, but I'm not all too interested in buying those at this point, as I have to befriend my new cows. A handful of blue mist flowers and some fertilized soil are ready for harvest. Then I get all of the soil watered before killing some time in the Garmin mines collecting ores. That aforementioned time killing was in anticipation of the circus. Now that all the animals have been returned to Theodore, I can finally witness the proper routine. A zebra and monkey walk around on 2 feet. A lion juggles some beach balls with Theodore. Eunice the giraffe does some dope hula hoop moves. Trunks the elephant rides a bicycle. And Humphrey the hippo almost kills the ringmaster. Now that I've witnessed the pageantry of the circus with all 3 rescued animals, I can utilize my animal whistle to fast travel. All I have to do is pick a location, give the whistle a blow, and I'll get a cute little cutscene taking me where I want to be, which is back home, and that's how I end day 78. I kick off day 79 by checking on all my birds, then having a quick peek at my friendship levels, where I notice that Carl and Colleen are now at max hearts. Today is another massive blue mist flower harvest day, so I spent so much in real life time just smashing the A button to grab all these flowers, then going over the entire field with the seeds to get even more flowers before the end of the season. All that button mashing is worth it though, seeing all those flowers go into the shipping bin. I did my first ever fast travel to Flute Fields with the help of Trunks the elephant, who can fly, by the way, which is totally awesome. But here I went down to Marimba Farms to purchase more seeds and fertilizer to put down in the river plot. The rest of the day was spent in the Garmin mines collecting gold ore and wonderfuls before calling it a day and watching the blue mist cash hit my account. A nice rainy day 80 means that my time spent in the field will only consist of picking flowers. Rainy days are perfect for mining, since you can get in super early and collect a bunch of ores and wonderfuls. Over at the accessory shop, I did some refining, headlined by a couple pieces of gold metal, 3 topaz gems, and 3 diamonds, which will be some great profit as I get them placed in the shipping bin. Since I made over 150,000 G yesterday, I decided to splash some more cash by purchasing the gold upgrade for my fishing rod, hammer, and axe, meaning I only have 7 more upgrades in total until I have all goddess level tools. Even after that spending spree, I had enough cash left over to purchase the level 3 coop upgrade from Dale. It still has the same amount of space for birds, but I've got these little wooden boxes now, which we'll discover what they do tomorrow. I used our good pal Humphrey to fast travel my way to the Fugue Forest, and spent the remainder of this day chopping trees for more wood. I start off day 81 in the mailbox, where I've got some ads from the general store and Horn Ranch. Having maxed out my coop means that silkworms and threading machines are now available for purchase. Another rainy day means Mother Nature did my crop watering for me, so I can spend the morning foraging at the beach and riding my giraffe pal Eunice to Harmonica Town. To escape the dreary weather, I popped into Pascal's boat and did some relaxing fishing at Toucan Island, where I caught my first ever tuna, along with my first ever swordfish. That little excursion was fun, but I have to go back home at some point, and I spent the remainder of day 81 looking for gold and rare ores in the mines. The Harvest Festival is tomorrow, so Hamilton is at my front door the morning of day 82, making sure I know that. Then it's over to the field where my 4th rainy day in a row makes my job much easier. All I have to do is pick some flowers and get them thrown into the shipping bin, and now I can do fun stuff, like purchasing my first ever silkworm, who I named Crody. While I'm in and around Flute Fields, I went over to Fugue Forest to cut down some trees, then relaxed in the hot springs a little bit, before heading to Shelly's tailor shop to purchase every single accessory she had in stock. I gave the wizard some delicious herbal tea, and found out the Harvest Sprites love mushrooms. I gave the Harvest Goddess one of her favorite gifts, a royal jelly, and I spent the afternoon doing a quick little mining session, and finished the day off by fishing down by the dock. On day 83, the day of the Harvest Festival, our pal Crody produced his first ever silk cocoon. Now that I have more space for birds, I put another duck egg in the incubator, then harvested my last crop of blue mist in the river plot. Over in the kitchen, I combined some fish to make some good sashimi, and then remembered I purchased a bunch of new accessories the other day. So I crafted a fresh fit, then ran down to Flute Fields to partake in the Harvest Festival. The big competition for me was the flower competition. almost making 500,000 G of flowers this season, you better believe I got first place in this competition. My blue ribbon prize was 10 shining perfumes though, so that's not too bad. Unfortunately, I crashed out of all the other Harvest Festival competitions, so the only highlight of today was winning that flower competition. The final day of fall, day 84, begins in the barn, as I'm unable to feed my hungry cows. Marvelous, if you remake this game, please fix. It's so annoying. With all that flower money, I decided to buy myself every single maker machine from the general store and spent the entirety of this last autumn day in the Garmin mines doing a bunch of mining. I didn't have any seeds to water or harvest, so it's not like I had anything better to do. The refining session that followed wasn't too bad either, since I got 3 rare metals, 3 topaz gems, and a single diamond that I chucked directly into the shipping bin. As I put the fall season to bed, I made a solid mining profit, but more important than that was the new title of Ultimate Farmer that I received from my pal Finn. Now I only need to get all the goddess tools to complete my list that I set out in the beginning of this video. I also got 90 shining fertilizer, but that's not that important. As I enter the bitter cold of winter on day 85, the accessory shop wrote to me to let me know that they can now turn the most expensive of gems into accessories. I had a bunch of eggs ready for collecting in the coop, and I learned that turning shining or perfect duck eggs into mayo actually cost me money, so that's not fun. The same can't be said for cheese and butter though, so that's actually really good to know. In the oceanside field, I utilized the 90 free shining fertilizer I got to turn this soil into level 5, then ran down to Marimba Farms to purchase even more, along with a metric ton of buckwheat seeds. While winter definitely isn't the best month for farming profit, utilizing buckwheat can be amazing if you're patient. So I get all those seeds sown and watered, then head up to the waterfall to say hello to the duck. Over at Dale's, I purchased the final upgrade to the barn, maxing out my large animal capacity at 8. I then went down to the beach to collect this season's forageable, laver seaweed, and then spent the remainder of this first day of winter fishing down by the beach. I'm back in the mailbox to start day 86, where my new barn upgrade has prompted the general store and horde ranch to add ostriches and an ostrich incubator to their respective ledgers. I get some milk from Candy the cow and get all my produce put into the shipping bin before getting my growing buckwheat plants watered. After a quick dip in the hot springs watching the snow fall, I went over to the Fugue Forest and utilized my golden axe to cut down trees super fast and get enough wood so that I could purchase the watermill building at Dale's carpenter shop, which will become super important later. At the general store, I purchased the ostrich incubator and ran back home to try and put my purchased ostrich egg in there with no success. I just assumed it didn't work because I bought the egg before the incubator, but we'll get back to that later. For now, I'm on my way to Toucan Island, where I caught myself a barracuda and some swim trunks some skinny dippers decided to recycle. Fun fact, you can utilize fast travel even at Toucan Island. I guess your character just swims across the ocean with a pig on his back. I combined my Toucan Island catch into some perfect sashimi, then ran down to the brass bar to give Selena a shining perfume, one of her favorite gifts. Before I was able to go to sleep, I heard a bump in the night. A snowman come to life named Rob Frost is looking for his carrot nose. Unfortunately, I didn't have the carrot in my rucksack, so I'll have to make sure I keep it in there for the next time that he shows up. On day 87, I made some silk yarn from one of Crody's cocoons, then watered some buckwheat stalks, before running over to the Horn Ranch where I attempted to buy an ostrich. Keyword there, attempted. Remember when I tried to use the ostrich incubator yesterday and couldn't? Well, that wasn't because I bought the ostrich egg before the incubator, it's because Animal Parade has one of the stupidest mechanics I've ever seen in a Harvest Moon game. You can only have 3 types of animals in your barn at one time. Why? Tell me why, Hannah. Honestly, this made me more mad than when Colin decided to skip his Harvest Sprite duties to celebrate the high holidays. So I ran to the hot springs to just calm down, chill out a little bit. But it turns out I was still a little upset, so I spent a good amount of time crushing rocks to get all that aggression. Speaking of mechanics I don't like, refining sucks, and I only got 9 ambers, but that perfect sashimi I made last night was earmarked as my dish to give Chase for judgment at the brass bar. Chase approved my perfect sashimi dish and gave me some pudding as a reward, but now I have to make a frying pan recipe, but there's no way I'm doing that today. Another day before a festival means Hamilton is once again loitering on my property to start day 88 to inform me about Harmony Day. I couldn't care less, Hamilton. I've got buckwheat stalks to water and wood to chop in the forest. Over at the clinic, I purchased an extra large body geyser and went to Toucan Island to do some more fishing. I caught my first ever mahi-mahi along with my first ever stingray before downing that extra large body geyser and catching yet another barracuda. I finished my fishing trip by catching a shark, and then I ran home to chop all of those little fishies into some shining sashimi to end the day. Day 89 is quick. I collected some milk from my cows, ran out into the field to water my buckwheat stalks, and spent the entirety of the remainder of this day in the mines looking to get gold and rare ores for future tool upgrades. I welcomed a new feathered friend to Fowl Farm to start day 90, a duck named Conrad. Horn Ranch is back in my mailbox advertising a goat that I can't buy because I already have 3 types of animals, so I don't know what they're doing. But the big thing today was my first ever buckwheat harvest. I planted 450 seeds, filling up all 3 farm plots, so there is a lot of crops to pick. I don't know how fast the footage is sped up. I'll put it on the screen so you can see how long it takes, but Jesus Christ, it took forever to get all this buckwheat harvested. Remember how I said you can make good money from buckwheat if you are patient? Well, this is how you do it. With the watermill, you can take all your buckwheat and smash it into soba flour. Not only does this increase your profit with shining buckwheat for about 15%, but the real magic comes on snowy days and blizzards. But we don't have that today, so I'll save that for later. All you have to know is that I only processed and sold the shining buckwheat today. Now that my fields are bare, I had to get some more seeds from Marimba Farms, get those bad boys and girls sown, and then finish off my chores by watering them. I took a quick dip in the mountaintop hot springs, then spent the afternoon in the Garmin mines getting more gold and rare ores. I had enough for a decent refining session today and got myself a topaz gem, a couple diamonds, 4 pieces of gold metal, and 2 pieces of rare metal. All those valuable gems got tossed into the shipping bin, and then I ran into Hamilton outside my house as I was about to end the day. He told me to come with him, and I have no free will, so I did, and found all the boys gathered at someone's house for a surprise birthday party. Not only did they bake me a delicious cake, but I also got a present, a perfect apple, which I'm totally not gonna sell. Thanks, fellas, you're the best. As you can tell by the neutral-faced snowman in the top left of the screen, day 91 is a snowy day, which is exciting for me and should be exciting for you. Not because I get to turn some milk into butter or water my seeds or anything, but because I can show you how to use the power of snow. If you take perfect buckwheat and turn it into soba flour at the watermill on a snowy day, the magic power of winter upgrades the quality to shining soba flour, making almost 63% more money if you just deposit them into the shipping bin as if they were buckwheat. I then spent my evening doing some mining, but my refining session was super unlucky with a single topaz being the only decent item. I start off my farm chores on day 92 by making sure my birds are well fed, then it's over to the barn where I use my cheese maker for the first time. The produce from animals really isn't that impressive in Animal Parade, but it's more valuable if you use those as gifts for villagers. The real money in this game is definitely in crops like buckwheat and blue mist flowers. It's been a while since I did some foraging, so I collected some seaweed down by the beach, then did some fishing on the bridge overlooking Flute Fields. I'm far too lazy to turn all of this into sashimi, so I just tossed it in the shipping bin and went to sleep. That aforementioned sleep was rudely interrupted by our good friend Rob Frost the Snowman, but this time I've got a carrot he can use as a nose, so now he will give me some free stuff every day. Day 93 is the first day that Rob can give me stuff, and an empty can definitely isn't something I would jump for joy about. But all in all, today's pretty boring, pretty short. All I did was make sure my crops were watered and do another mining session before it got late enough to go to sleep. Tomorrow is the Starry Night Festival, so Hamilton is up and at 'em early to let me know all about it to start day 94. This festival is pretty interesting though, since I'll be able to make a wish. Rob Frost provided me with some perfect spinach today, and I learned that Ruth really likes blue herbs. Since tomorrow is a Wednesday and a festival, I made sure to buy my seeds now, so I don't have to pay double over the phone. And then I got my buckwheat nice and wet, and took a ride with Pascal to Toucan Island, where I spent the entire day fishing for barracuda. Those were the only fish biting my line today, so I had to use an extra large body geyser to catch more than one. But as soon as you get another on the line, you just don't have enough stamina to catch 2 in a row, so that's kinda how I ended the day. Rob Frost gave me another empty can to start day 95. Then I got into the field where another round of buckwheat is ready for harvest. I got all of the empty soil and squares populated with more buckwheat seeds, and I got everything watered. Then went over to the watermill to make some shining soba flour. All 18 of those get deposited in the shipping bin, and then I killed some time before the Starlight Festival in the Garmin Mines. I utilized my animal whistle to get a quick ride from Trunks, and watch the shooting stars with Simon, and wished to dive deep into the water 3 times. After feeling the urge to dive into the water, I magically received a tarpon to end the day. I got another unit of perfect spinach from Rob Frost to start day 96, and I got my buckwheat stalks watered before taking my perfect buckwheat to the windmill to create shining soba flowers, as today was another snowy day. I've done so much mining this week, so I decided to go to Toucan Island today and catch some more fish. Today I got a total of 3 barracuda, all of which I sold and made 30,000 G. I get even more fish to start day 97, a hudgeon from Rob Frost. I then ran into the barn where I can finally ride Crayon the cow. Even though I probably won't do that ever, it's still nice to see an animal get to 5 hearts. I got all my crops watered, then realized I haven't bought bird feed in a while, so I ran down to the Horn Ranch and bought a whole bunch. I then went back into the mines after that needed fishing break yesterday, and got a whole stack of yellow wonderfuls, which were refined down to 20 ambers, 6 topaz gems, 3 diamonds, and 4 rare metals. I ran over to the blacksmith where Ramsey upgraded my remaining silver tools to gold, and now that I have all my tools nice and golden, I got those expensive gems deposited into the shipping bin and made almost 17,000 G, just through mining. I got a rare drop from Rob Frost on day 98, a perfect ostrich egg. My farm chores this morning consist of feeding all my birds and keeping my large animals full, then getting all my buckwheat stalks moistened. As you can see by the very sad snowman in the top left, the exciting thing about today is that it's a blizzard. So I can take out all 722 decent and good buckwheat from storage and run over to the watermill where I get all of them turned into soba flour. During blizzard conditions, the watermill will double upgrade buckwheat, turning decent buckwheat into perfect soba flour and good buckwheat into shining soba flour, which is a 57 and 77% increase in profit respectively. Individually turning all 722 buckwheats into soba flour took almost 2 hours in real time. I could probably watch this entire video all the way through and still not be finished doing that. So I called it a day at 7:40 a.m. and made almost 240,000 G, thanks to the magic power of snow and soba flour. Day 99 is an amazing day, as I started by taking out 15 pieces of rare metal before receiving a rare amethyst from the snowman. I got all my buckwheat watered and finished off my entire to-do list for this video by purchasing the goddess upgrade for my last 5 tools, which cost 228,000 G. Shout out to soba flour sales. Now all my tools are nice and blue. I went over to the Garmin Mines to test out my new powerful hammer, which isn't as powerful as I thought it would be, considering that this big rock is still here. But you know, it's whatever. I then took Humphrey down to Fugue Forest to test out my goddess axe, which can cut down a tree in one fully powered up axe swing, which is pretty sweet. The goddess fishing rod didn't help too much outside of being able to throw the bobber a lot farther away. Maybe that'll come in handy later, but now it's kind of just got me a boot. I purchased more buckwheat from Ruth at Marimba Farms, then spent the evening crushing rocks and gems in the Garmin Mines. Day 100 and the final day of this video begins by harvesting my final round of buckwheat in the original field, sowing a whole bunch more of buckwheat seeds in the oceanside field, and then getting everything watered in the river field. I took all my shining buckwheat and got it processed into soba flour, which got plopped into the shipping bin post-haste. In the barn, I got my animals brushed, then ran into the kitchen to make some cocktails. I gave Shelly some tea, Selena some bananas, Phoebe a rare ore, and the harvest goddess some royal jelly before sailing over to Toucan Island with Pascal, where I spent the evening catching some fish until it got dark. I very literally ran back home with the help of Theodore's pig and went to sleep to put a cap on the final day of this video. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you've made it this far, I'm just going through the menu screens, so you can pause it if you want to see the friendship levels, the farm levels, skill levels, etc. It's all there for you. I also want to personally thank you for watching the whole video. I've put about 70 hours into Animal Parade so far, and one thing is very clear. This game is very good, but it is in need of a massive remake. And my fingers are crossed that Marvelous eventually gets to making one. If you like this video and want to see more of my stuff, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you'll be the first to know if/when the 200 Days of Animal Parade video comes out. If you want to make sure that video happens, you should smash that like button, since I'll be making part 2 if this video gets 2,500 likes. If you want to get more involved in my community, you should follow me on Twitter and Twitch for terrible jokes and bad live streams respectively. Both of those links are in the description, along with a link to my personal Discord server. If you love Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons, or basically any video game, you're sure to find someone who will gush about it with you over there. Once again, that link is in the description. And with that, I want to again thank you for watching my video all the way to the end. Thanks so much, and I hope I will see you in my next video.